Well, throughout much of the bitter spending battle, prominent Democrats like New York Senator Chuck Schumer blamed the Tea Party for being the primary culprit behind the threat of a government shutdown. Take a listen.
The Tea Party wants to stick to H.R. 1 with its draconian extreme. I always use the word extreme. That's what the caucus instructed me to do the other week.
Both Schumer and Harry Reid then repeated it on the Senate floor. Well, according to a Rasmussen poll, most Americans disagree. Take a look at this. In fact, 48% say their views are closer to the average Tea Party member. Just 22% identify with guys like Schumer and Harry Reid and the average member of Congress, including Republicans. Here now, Deneen Borelli, Fox News contributor and senior fellow of Project 21. Deneen, good to see you. If the poll numbers are correct, Schumer just accused half of Americans, roughly, of being extreme. Does that jump to the top of the Schumer's greatest gaffes list, just ahead of the 3 branches of government gaffe?
Well, I'm glad he was speaking his mind, and the American people know where he really stands when it comes to the Tea Party people. I have a commentary on Fox Opinion. The reason why I wrote this commentary about the blame game that is going on with the Tea Party movement is because I'm a Tea Party member. I'm a prominent spokesperson for Tea Party events across the country. Americans are concerned about putting our country back on the path to economic prosperity and liberty. But you have liberals like Chuck Schumer and his colleagues who are trying to blame the Tea Party movement for their failure to pass a budget last fall, which is their basic duty. Instead, they were pushing Obamacare and pushing cap and trade legislation on the American people, which is what we don't want.
Well, and again, I want to put up another poll. I mean, Schumer may be living in a cave. He may be totally unaware of how he is perceived, because take a look at this Rasmussen poll. It asked of the various political agendas, who's extreme? Democrats are regarded as extreme. 50% of Americans think they are. 38% think the GOP is extreme. Who are the Tea Party? Are they, taxpayers, hardworking Americans that want government to live within its means? Is that extreme? Help me out here.
It's common sense to me. It's hardworking Americans, just like you mentioned, people who are concerned about the direction that our country is going in. And to me, that's simply common sense. There's nothing extreme about it. But we have politicians, especially on the liberal side, who are in total disconnect with what the American people want and what the American people are saying. But these poll numbers are very telling, and come next election, I think the liberals need to take note on where the American people stand.
Well, and note to Schumer, check attendance next time you use the telephone. Even if the Tea Party did indeed get what they wanted, which would have been $61 billion in cuts, when you do the math, out of the total budget, that represents slightly over 1% of the budget. That's hardly extreme, is it?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we can do more and we could do better. We should do better. But yeah, it's just the 1%. That's really a drop in the ocean. But, what we really need is our politicians to be accountable, to perform at least their basic duty, and stop it with the blame game and the name calling. The American people don't want it, and they're tired of hearing it.
Dick Morris, you may have seen it, wrote a column on Friday. And he called the budget compromise, quote unquote, Republican suicide, because the GOP campaigned on the pledge to cut $100 billion, or $61 billion if you prorate it over 7 months. And I want to quote further from his column, because, it takes a crack at Republicans here. The electorate that impelled the GOP triumph in 2010 will not tolerate a breaking of the Republican promise. Any freshman who votes for a budget deal below $61 billion will face a primary and likely defeat either for the nomination or in the general election. Will there be, Deneen, a Tea Party backlash against Republicans for compromising here well below their original pledge of $100 billion in cuts?
Well, I think time will tell, absolutely. But the American people want a representative government, and we want to put our country back on fiscal track.
I know, but broken promises come to haunt you on re-election.
Oh, this is true, and we saw that during the 2010 election. Don't get me wrong. But the American people are going to hold our politicians accountable, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You got to listen to the will and the desire of the American people.
All right, Deneen Borelli, everybody can check out your column on FoxNews.com. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.